The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in
All
listen-only
right. Hello,
mode.
everyone. My name is Stacy Wheatley, and I'm a registered dietitian and clinical health consultant with True Health Diagnostics. I'm going to try to get us started here shortly, waiting for more people to trickle in. We had about 100 registered for today, and we're not really close to that yet. So if you could do me a favor in either the chat or maybe the questions box, y'all help me out by letting me know if you can hear me okay. That would be helpful. Nothing like speaking out to yeah. Oh, great. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. Never real sure everything's working, so I appreciate that, y'all. I'm going to keep the questions box open on my end and try to address them if I can as they come up, or I may just save them to the end to make sure we get through all the slides. But it's not an extremely long presentation, so we should have plenty of time for questions at the end. So some of you, this webinar is open to the public, and it's free, no charges or anything like that. Some of you are existing patients with True Health Diagnostics, and some are not. So if you're not familiar with us, I'm glad that you're with us today. Give us a look up on the internet, check us out, see what kind of labs we do and disease management we try to achieve. With the lab panels, you guys get access to the clinical health consultants. Most of us are registered dietitians, but we do have a registered nurse, certified diabetes educators, exercise physiologists, and all sorts of smart folks here to help you improve your health. So today we're doing meal planning made easy, and you know, we have these webinars about twice a month on various topics. We rerun some of the topics that are the most popular, like blood sugar, busting up sugar myths for blood sugar management, and things like that. So keep checking back with us and seeing what we have in future months. I'm about to put out the next quarter's webinar topics for y'all to check that out as well. All right. After the presentation, I will save a copy of my slides in PDF format. If you want me to email you a copy of those, just say so in the questions box. I have the email address that you registered with. If you would like me to send it to a different email address, please say so in that questions box as well. This is also recorded, so after the webinar is over, usually by Monday, I will have attached the recording to the webinar link. So instead of registering with the link, you would be registered to listen to the recording if you want to listen to it again, or if you want to share it with someone. About 3 minutes in, and about a quarter of the folks registered have joined us. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So today we're going to discuss 3 steps of meal planning, and I've felt it important to do this webinar because I personally try to do my best to meal plan. I think it helps save me and my family some money, and ultimately some time on the front end saves me time on the back end and keeps me from making bad decisions with what I'm going to eat. But planning, I remember as far back as when I was little, 7, 8 years old, my mom said prior planning prevents poor performance. I don't know if you guys have heard that before, if that's a mom thing, but that is really applicable to our diets and to our health. So it's important to try to plan ahead. Now, a lot of folks will come into us and say, just give me a meal plan. Tell me what to eat. That takes a lot of the guesswork out of it for you, but I have a hard time giving folks a meal plan because it may not be food they eat. It may not be food they like. It might be food they're allergic to, might be food someone can't find or someone can't afford. So oftentimes purchasing a meal plan or just handing someone a 7-day meal plan won't work for them. And then they get discouraged, and then they say, well, things didn't work out with that dietitian. Well, you didn't like the meal plan. So it's kind of important to try to come up with your own. So I hope I can help you guys do that for yourself today. And then tips on shopping. You're probably already pretty good grocery shoppers, but maybe I can give you a few pearls or gems on how to do so to facilitate a good meal plan. And then prep work too. We'll talk about that. Okay, so I actually went through this. It's called a decision matrix with a patient the other day, the pros and cons of meal planning or not meal planning. Meal planning can be a pain in the butt, trying to think ahead and plan for a whole week, plan for everybody's meals. But some of the things we came up with is that it's healthier for me and my family. She said, I feel productive, like I've accomplished something, like I've gotten ahead of the game. I've worked ahead, and she has more time to spend in the evenings, reading or doing leisure stuff or spending time with the family. And ultimately, it can save money in the long run. But it does take time, and the cost seems like can seem like more upfront from the groceries and things like that. If we don't meal plan, you might feel like you have more time to relax on the days that you would have been planning, and there's sure less dishes if you go out and pick something up, but so there's less dishes to do, and a lot of times we just don't know what to cook. We don't know where to start. And if you're not meal planning, you feel unprepared, you have to make snap decisions. We might ruin our good intentions and eat something that we probably shouldn't be. My husband says this is making time instead of making excuses. So he helps me make time for this too. So planning. Now, this is the way I do it. What is my schedule for the next 3 days, 5 days, 7 days? What meals are going to be eaten out of the home? So if you take a bigger picture, what you're working with. Kind of playing to the lowest common denominator. How many meals do I have to make? I'm inherently kind of lazy, so I want to know what little I can get away with, and work backwards. So eliminate the ones that you don't have to plan for, and then you'll know how many dinners you need, how many lunches you'll need, and how many breakfasts and snacks. So as far as where to start, if you don't know what you want to cook, I personally that's my list that I keep in my phone with just the little notes function, talking about the foods that I list that we commonly have, meals we often have, because you kind of feel like you get in a rut doing the same thing over and over again. But if you can kind of keep a list of things that are common that you guys like, it might jog your memories and help guide you in what you want to prepare. So that's a list of some things we like to do: pork tenderloins, oven fajitas, crock-pot chicken, hamburger patties, pork chops, salads. When we're feeling fancy or have a special occasion, we might do steak and lobster, shrimp and grits, spaghetti squash, spaghetti, things like that. So this can help, keeping a list of that can help jog your memory. And I'm a big fan of this Yummly app. I don't know if you guys have seen that before, but it basically does an internet search of recipes for you. It's kind of tedious if you just go to your internet browser and go through everything and, type in, broccoli recipe or tenderloin recipe, and then it pulls up hundreds of things. You have to click, look at it, back button, click the next one. But Yummly will do this search for you, and it shows little thumbnails of the pictures of the foods, and shows you the ingredients first, and you can kind of toggle back and forth a little more quickly like that. And then it also has filters for various diets. So if you're gluten-free, or if you're paleo, or if you're avoiding certain foods, you can usually filter that out and kind of take all the tediousness out of finding new recipes. And it stays open on my iPad while I'm cooking. So I don't have much by way of cookbooks anymore because of this. So this is a sample meal plan, and I'll walk you through a week of planning. You don't have to use this one. You can use any one. You can use a scratch sheet of paper if you want. But this is this week's menu, so Monday through Sunday, and this is a picture of what the meal plan starts out like. So if you know, say I'm having breakfast out on Tuesday, and I know we'll be going out to dinner Thursday and Saturday nights, I'm going to go ahead and eliminate those from the meals I have to plan, so I know what I've got left. And then based on those nights, I'll fill in the blanks with what we're going to have to eat. So spaghetti squash on Monday, pork chops, mashed potatoes, cauliflowers, and Brussels sprouts. So in this way, a lot of folks say they don't want to have to plan 2 meals for folks. Personally, I lean towards more of a paleo type meal plan, but my husband needs and wants the starches. So I will make cauliflower and Brussels sprouts for me, and mashed potatoes for him. So it's really 3 sides instead of just 2. It's not that much work for me. Pork roast and brown rice. We'll talk about freezing that later. Burgers, corn on the cob, salads, things like that. So the next step, filling in the lunches. So I'm a huge fan of leftovers and making good use of food that wasn't eaten. So a lot of times lunch the next day will be from dinner the night before. You can kind of see how we do that. And then you can fill in the breakfast there too. And then I made a little note, snacks I plan to have hard-boiled eggs, apples, almonds, grapes, almond butter, and protein shakes. So I got you a little trivia here. What percentage of our food do Americans throw out each year? Is it 15% of our food that we throw out each year? 25%, 40%, or 60%? Kind of a wide range, 15, 25, 40, or 60%. And if you guessed 40%, that's right. That is a lot of food to be throwing out. Yes, ma'am. So, and that's almost half of the food that we end up throwing out, and it's very, very, very wasteful. So the moral of the story is eat your leftovers. Eat your vegetables, but also eat your leftovers. Some trivia on that, more trivia. $165 billion of food is thrown away every year. What I couldn't do with $165 billion. Per household, about $2,275 is thrown out each year. I mean, that's a bonus. That's a lot of money that we could use. There's been a 50% increase in food waste since the 1970s with the dawn of convenience foods and individual packaging and things like that. So lots of waste since then. And as much as a 15% reduction in the amount of food wasted could feed 25 million Americans. So it makes you feel kind of wasteful when you consider the big picture. So the art of leftovers, proteins. If you have leftover chicken, or if you have leftover steak, add it to a salad the next day. You can make tacos out of it. You can add it to a soup. Put it in a stir fry. If it's leftover chicken, you could turn it into a chicken salad, make it into a sandwich. And vegetables, use those in a stir fry, add them to soup, make a veggie egg scramble in the morning. One of my favorite vegetables left over and reused at breakfast is bacon roasted Brussels sprouts. It's actually really good with a fried egg on top. It's kind of weird, but it's delicious. You can add vegetables to homemade pizzas, vegetable broth, make a vegetable soup, or even sneak them in a smoothie to get rid of them and use them up there. And when I send you guys the slides, I have a basic chicken recipe link here, and it's pretty universal. It goes into everything. So I baked 6 chicken breasts the other night this way. If you want the slides, just say so in the question box, and I will use the email address you registered with, unless you want to provide me another one to send them to. I'll send them there. Will do. But that chicken recipe, it's quicker than most. You bake it at 450 degrees, which is hotter than most recipes. And you do 10 minutes on one side, 10 minutes on the other, and it always comes out perfect. My husband even picked at it the other night as he walked by and said, wow, that's really good. So I use it in avocado chicken salad. I toss it with pesto sauce. So I use it multiple ways. I had some more left over today, so I threw it in a Tupperware with leftover vegetables for lunch. So fruit, the art of leftovers with that. Fruit and nuts are kind of a perfect snack, grab and go. You can add the fruit to a smoothie, put it on your salad even. One of our health consultants, Jody, she just wrote a blog on blueberries for July, and she recommended blending blueberries with vinegar and oil as a salad dressing. So that's interesting. You could probably do it, with other berries as well. Put them on your salad or add them to some plain Greek yogurt for some flavor. Grain, starches, and legumes, so rice and corn and beans and things like that. That's a great topper to a salad. As far as carbohydrate management and blood sugar management, a lot of times when we do salads, they tend to be very low carb. So you might have carbs at breakfast and carbs in dinner, and if you just do a salad at lunch, there's low or no carbs. So to keep it a little bit more even, keep your insulin levels, you might could throw a handful of corn onto the salad, or a handful, quarter cup of beans onto the salad. Combine them in a stir fry, add them to soup, or make a breakfast bowl. You can do quinoa as a breakfast food. You can do rice as a breakfast food even. So kind of try to think outside the box. Where else can you use that up so we don't end up just tossing it out? Okay, so I really hate it when I go to the grocery store and because I just need one thing, and then I get home and I'm like, I wish I had gotten something else while I was there. So planning ahead really helps me keep from doing multiple trips to the grocery store. And plus, I prefer a grocery store that's a good 15-20 minutes away from me, so I don't want to have to make more than one trip during the week. So taking a few minutes to gather my thoughts beforehand as much as possible. How long is the trip going to take? How much time do I have? And will I have time in the grocery store to compare prices and to read nutrition facts and really make good decisions? So taking a little extra time on the forefront helps prevent time lost on the backside. So before you go, check the pantry, the fridge, the freezer. What do I have? I also hate going to the fridge and being like, dang it, I already had that and I bought more, and now I've got to eat a lot of it really quickly. So check for things like that. And then, quickly throw out anything that's that's expired or that's old. Hopefully we'll have used up all of our leftovers, but if it's been in there a while, you want to toss that out and make room so you can see what you have back there. So what do I have? What do I need? Make your list off that. And I like to make my list in order of the grocery store's floor plan. Oftentimes that's produce first, and then the inner aisles, and then trying to do go hit the meat counters, the dairy, the frozen things last because they're cold, obviously. And then do you have coupons? Are there specials? Check online or sign up for emails. So you get notification of those things. So I'm a big fan of Earth Fare here in South Carolina, and we get the emails, and they tell us when the meats are on sale. So the grass-fed meats can be expensive, so we keep an eye out for that email and know we have to buy in bulk when they're on sale and freeze them all. So, for example, buying in bulk and freezing them all, this is literally my freezer. You see the inside of your dietitian's freezer and the list that I made. So what I have is ground sirloin. I have pork chops, pork roast. I need, basically produce and all my vegetables and my eggs, and then what I can do is go ahead and cook the bacon. Yes, I eat bacon, and make my sweet potato hash browns. I love, as far as a healthy carb for breakfast, I dice up hash browns, roast them off, and have them for the whole week, and boil eggs. So that stuff I can typically do all at once. So again, plan, take a list, make a meal plan, know what you want, try to stick to the budget, and know your grocery store sales cycle. Also, if you want to go with the plan and have your list, because when you go into the grocery store, it's the layout is very specific. They have put things in strategic places to try to get you to buy them. So if you don't really have a plan and you're kind of wondering, those things will probably catch your eye. The when you walk in the store, the BI-LO has giant bins of things on sale. And then the end caps of the aisles are super good, or super good real estate for folks, because it's got high visibility, high traffic, and you're probably going to grab something off of that. So they know that. And then try to go in with a clear mind, focus on your shopping. Pick a day that you're not completely slammed. Like, Thursdays and Fridays are no good for me. I'm not going to make it to the store those days. So usually it's a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and I hit the grocery store on the way home from my gym at night because it's on the way. So produce, try to buy only what you need or have on your list, and be realistic about how much you eat. I've done this myself, where you go, I'm going on a diet, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to go in and get all this produce. I like bananas, I like grapes, I like this, I like that, and you put it all in your cart, and there's no way you're going to eat all that. So be realistic, make a list, and if you can, buy organic where possible. We'll talk about the best foods to buy organic and the ones that maybe you don't have to. And look for sales at specialty stores or farmers markets, and buy what's in season. This is coming up on great months for berries and things like that. And freeze them. Go ahead and buy fresh berries and freeze them. They freeze well. And buy frozen even, things that are in their original form, not really in so many sauces, cream sauces, butter sauces, and things like that. Choose foods in their whole state. They're going to be a little bit cheaper that way. The more prepared or more produced they are, the more expensive they get. That requires time and supplies and manufacturing, and you're going to end up paying for that. One thing is I need to look at is our apples. The kids love the little apples that are pre-sliced in the bag. I love it because I don't have to cut it. But it doesn't take me any time to take that little apple core thing over an apple and do it that way. So examples of food that's probably more expensive prepared is bagged lettuce versus a head of lettuce. Pre-cut vegetables versus whole vegetables, chicken breast versus the whole chicken, things like that. So to buy organic or not, the Environmental Working Group, or you can go to ewg.org, they maintain this list of Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen. I believe they update that every year based on farming practices and the use of pesticides and things like that. So the Clean 15 there are listed on the left. If you think about them, a lot of them are things you don't eat the peel of. So avocados, you don't eat the skin. Cabbage, you probably won't eat the first couple of layers, but things like cantaloupe, you don't eat the rind. Grapefruit, you don't eat the skin. Same thing, well, some people might eat kiwi skins, but a lot of those things are things you really only eat the inside of. Dirty Dozen, these are ones that might have had a lot of pesticides, herbicides sprayed on the outside. Apples, celery, cherry tomatoes, a lot of things you eat the skin of, or grow deep in the ground to absorb all that stuff. So you can kind of prioritize that way if you think about it. Which ones do I need to buy organic? It would be the ones on the Dirty Dozen list. The ones that are a little bit cleaner, less pesticides, things like that would be in the Clean 15. So shopping for meat, like I said, grass-fed is a little bit more expensive, so we keep an eye out for when it's on sale. That Earth Fare place, I think grass-fed beef can run up to like $16.99 a pound, which is outrageous, but theirs will go on sale to like $8.99 a pound, so that's when we pounce and we take advantage. And the difference between grass-fed and traditionally raised beef, if you don't know, is pretty big. If you think about two patients that, one patient sits on the couch all day and eats corn and starches and doesn't get a lot of exercise, doesn't bathe very often, that's kind of gross. But if you have another patient who walks and gets a lot of fresh air and eats a lot of grass, that patient's going to be healthier, and it's the same way with the cows. The industry, the cows are a lot of times overcrowded, and they're indoors, and they're standing right in close quarters with one another, and they're standing in each other's excrement and things like that, and they have to receive lots of antibiotics, and just the nutrition profile is a lot healthier in a grass-fed animal. Less antibiotics passed on to us, less inflammation passed on to us, and the grass-fed cows will have more of the heart-healthy omegas in them than a corn-fed cow. So that's my soapbox on that. Free-range or organic chickens, that you can get a whole chicken, use it as, you can roast the chicken, you can put it in a crock pot, and then you can pare down that chicken into a whole lot of different meals. House ground breakfast sausage I like to get if it's made in the store and not in the cases and the casings and prepackaged and stuff like that, and nitrate-free bacon if you can. You'll also see this called natural or uncured, just because these nitrates can form nitrosamines, which are carcinogenic. So you want to look for natural versions of those things. And this is all stuff that freezes pretty good. I mean, the meats will freeze fine. A whole chicken will freeze fine. It takes up a lot of room, and it takes 2 days to thaw. But it does freeze well. And bacon freezes really well. So if you ever see a sale on that, rack up and freeze it. So this is an example of buying in bulk. We do a lot of our stuff from Costco and Sam's and things like that. So we buy our chicken in bulk, we buy our turkey or pork in bulk, some of our vegetables in bulk, and freeze them all. So that the pork chops there on the right that you see was a huge platter of pork chops, and I'm not going to cook all those, so I wrapped them, I'm not going to cook all those right away, so I wrapped them up in that press and seal and put them in a Ziploc freezer bag, hoping they wouldn't get too freezer burnt, and they haven't yet. There's still 1 or 2 in there from that March date. oatmeal in bulk, brown rice in bulk. And these are also going to be better because hopefully they'll be plain. Not like the oatmeal in the packets that has a lot of sugar added to them. Just plain old Uncle Ben's, not Uncle Ben's, Quaker oatmeal. Brown rice in the bulk bag, resealable bag. Brown rice, I've come to find, freezes really well, actually. You can go ahead and cook it up, and then I portion it into sandwich bags, and it freezes pretty well. So you just take it out, and you don't have to spend the 30 minutes or whatever it takes to make rice for the next meal. Tuna we get in bulk there, frozen fish, and natural peanut butter we get there. So the Kirkland brand of peanut butter, I think it's Kirkland Organic, and it's just peanuts like it should be. But a Smucker's jar will run you about $7 in the store, $5 to $7 in the store, but you can get two 20-ounce jars at Costco for $7. So it's a big difference. And peanut butter takes a while to go bad. So you buy it there. So prep work, we talked about planning, and we talked about leftovers, and we talked about shopping, and so we'll talk about prep work. Try to think like a chef, think like a cook. This occurred to me when I was making this PowerPoint for you guys, that I used to work in the hospital kitchen, and all of our cooks would have to, after they were done making their meals for the day, they'd have to start prep for tomorrow. So what if we did that and took a little time today for tomorrow to save some time? So when you come home from the grocery store, while you're still putting the groceries away, what can you do while everything is out? You can boil a couple of eggs. You can chop and peel your vegetables, put them in little bags so they're ready to go. Like one day, there's a chicken soup that I like, the Pioneer Woman did, and it's actually pretty clean and no, it's very paleo friendly. But I knew I was cooking that week, so I went ahead and pulled out my carrots and pulled out my onions and pulled out my parsnips and pared everything down into a gallon bag. That way I just dump it in later in the week when I'm ready for them. Wash your fruit, because sometimes you say, oh, well, I really want to eat my grapes right now, but I don't feel like getting them out and washing them. But go ahead and do it so it's ready. Make some items and put them in the fridge and freeze the rest. I put an asterisk with spaghetti sauce and taco meat because they have very similar ingredients. I've browned up all my ground meat, so you're probably going to use an onion in both things. So you dice up the onion, cook it with the meat, and then split it into two pans. And in one pan you make your taco meat, the other pan you make your spaghetti sauce, and you're good to go for the week. You can freeze the meat like that for later. I did that for myself, and one night plans changed or something like that. We didn't go out, and I was like, oh God, now I got to cook something. And I opened the fridge and went, oh my gosh, I've got taco meat. We're having Mexican tonight. Yeah. Hey, Julie. So mashed potatoes and rice, those actually freeze pretty well too. So I mentioned earlier about how I prefer to eat more of the paleo type diet, and my husband does not. And I got really sick of making mashed potatoes over and over again. I refuse to use the box stuff, and plus I just think fresh and real mashed potatoes are better. And so I started just making the whole bag of potatoes up and freezing them, and they actually freeze pretty well. So when I take this frozen bag out of the freezer, I just have to kind of reconstitute it. When you heat it up in a quart pan with a little bit of more milk, a little bit more butter for him, and it reheats pretty well. And like I said, the rice freezes and reheats pretty well too. So it's almost like you're making your own instant food instead of buying the instant food. So So cleaning up, again, think, what can I do now? How can I get ahead? After your meals, you tend to put all of our leftovers, rice in one bin, and meat in another bin, and vegetables in another bin. But what if you took a little Tupperware and put starch, a little bit of starch, a little bit of vegetable, a little bit of protein, then you have a grab and go lunch for tomorrow, or make 2 of them. You have lunch for the next 2 days. If you aren't going to use the leftovers, what can you freeze? So this, and you can save precious minutes the next morning by packing your lunch then. So while you've got all this stuff out, what else can you do instead of dragging it all back out tomorrow? So an example, I did a chicken taco meat in the crock pot one day. So I made enough to use with more than one meal. So thinking about the big picture, try to spread this stuff out. So what else can I do while this is out? So I put an onion in there. I diced an onion. So I went ahead and chopped up another one, put it in a Ziploc bag for the next meal that needs it this week. I hate cutting onions. I hate it. So if I don't have to do it more than once, I'm doing myself a favor. So go ahead and chop them all up and put them in there. I did that for myself. It's a gift to myself this week. I forget what I made, but I went and said, oh my gosh, I got an onion already cut. I can put that in there. So I did the chicken taco meat. Instead of doing mine on a tortilla, I did mine in a lettuce wrap, which you see there's the taco meat with tomatoes, diced avocado, and cilantro on top. And then before we put the meal up, I went ahead and made myself a little salad, portioned the protein separately so I can reheat it, and I've got half an avocado for tomorrow's lunch. These are really kind of fun mason jar salads. Kind of trendy, but like I said, when you come home from the grocery store, you could go ahead and boil some eggs. You can put the eggs on salads. You can use them as a snack and whatnot. Boil them earlier in the week so they're ready to go. Your nuts, I got yelled at because I got walnuts in bulk and they went rancid. So walnuts aren't cheap. Well, he doesn't yell at me. He just goes, those were expensive. I can't believe you let the whole bag go bad. So from now on, I get them in bulk, and I go ahead and take them out and put them into gallon freezer bags, and I freeze the nuts. They take no time to thaw, really. And then I take, a couple handfuls of nuts into a sandwich bag, and I chop them up so they're ready to go on my salads. They are also ready to go in yogurt if you're doing that. So again, what else can you do while this stuff is out? I've got the spinach out. If my sausage is thawed, you can do a little sausage stir fry and saute the spinach, an onion you might have already cut, and then brown the sausage, and you've got that to go with a nice free-range chicken egg for breakfast. So these mason jar salads are kind of cute. I believe we have these posted in a blog somewhere. But you put oil and vinegar in the bottom of these, and then you put your hearty vegetables on top. So things like cherry tomatoes or cucumbers and things, carrots. And then put in the egg and my chicken and my nuts, and then stuff all the lettuce, all the spinach you can get in there. And then, boom, I've got 2 lunches made. This is usually my Thursday, Friday lunch, and just grab it and go. So other favorite resources of ours for meal planning and cooking, everybody loves Pinterest. But that Yummly app I shared with you earlier, I had a patient she says she spends more time on Yummly now than Pinterest because the recipes are just that much more quick to access in the app. Once a month meals, 100 days of real food, Cook Smarts, things like that. And then some more apps, Snip Snap, CardStar, Yummly I mentioned, things like those. And again, these links will work in the handouts I send to you. So just like today and every day, we want to be your resource for health-related topics. If you're on Twitter, we're at True Health Diag. I'm on Twitter as well as at THD_Stacy with an IE W. Facebook, all of our blogs are posted to facebook.com/True Health Diagnostics. That's the link to our blog, and we're actually on Pinterest too. So if you do have labs with us already, we are included in your labs for 12 months from the last report. So whether that's by phone, by email, we're here to help. Some of the physicians will actually have one of us in their practice if there's enough volume to justify it. So we can counsel some patients live. But that's the phone number there to client services, 877-443-5227. We've got dietitians and exercise physiologists in all sorts of time zones, so you're sure to find someone to be able to help, I believe. And that is the end of presentation. I'm going to open up some questions now. We're wrapping up the slides a little early. I got about 10-15 minutes to see what kind of questions you have. So I'm going to, y'all can keep entering questions as you have them, but I'm going to start at the top of my list. And let's see. First question was, do you recommend final meal of the day about 3 or 4 hours before bedtime? Not necessarily. I do recommend, personally, I recommend meals about 3 or 4 hours apart. So meals and snacks about 3 or 4 hours apart, so you don't go too long, your tank doesn't get empty and slow down your metabolism. But no, not necessarily before bedtime. For weight management or loss, do you discourage eating carbs after the lunch meal? And that kind of depends on you as the patient. For someone who, we see a lot of patients with insulin resistance or prediabetes or metabolic syndrome, polycystic ovary syndrome. For those folks, I would recommend trying to be as consistent as possible with their carbohydrates in each meal, so the body kind of gets used to the same amount of insulin being produced every couple of hours, so that it's not this yo-yo. Sometimes you have carbs, need a lot of insulin, sometimes you don't, and it sends an inconsistent message. But for folks that are generally healthy, don't have a high fasting insulin, issues with their blood sugar, that might be fine. That might work for you. But as a blanket statement, you can't really say everyone shouldn't eat like that, which is why we're here to help you individualize things. Should you eat at times based on hunger, or should we eat at regular intervals? And again, that kind of depends on the patient, but I prefer to eat every 2 or 3 hours, and once you kind of get in a cycle like that, you will get hungry every 2 or 3 hours. You kind of get used to that schedule. Intuitive eating or eating based on hunger is great. You want to listen to yourself and go, am I eating out of boredom, or am I eating because I'm hungry? If you have a problem with grazing and snacking, you do want to try to eat based on hunger, but I do recommend eating every couple of hours as well. A few folks have said, what is the paleo diet? I think we need to do another webinar on that. The paleo diet is one where you eat basically like a caveman would, whatever you can hunt or gather. So it's lots of meats, vegetables, fruit, nuts, and healthy fats. So and sweet potatoes included for most folks of the paleo mind. And it's just basically no processed food, getting away from preservatives and sugars and a bunch of added stuff. It does take a lot of work and a lot of prep, but it's worth it. I think we just finished our paleo challenge at our gym, and I lost 5 pounds, but I lost 5 inches. So more so than the pounds, everything just kind of trimmed up nicely. But that's not the only way to go about that. We can work with carbohydrate management. We can work with you know, the Whole30 type diet. We can work with elimination diets, or just going gluten-free sometimes is a good step for folks. But good websites or resources to look at if you're interested in that is I like robwolf.com. He wrote The Paleo Solution. I also like Whole30.com. Their book, If It Starts With Food, is fantastic. You can also look at Nom Nom Paleo, or StupidEasyPaleo.com is a pretty funny one. And then the Yummly app even has a filter for paleo foods, so that's where I've gotten all my recipes. Let's see. How can we download the presentation? Folks that have had a couple interruptions may have been in and out. I'll just send you the slides. I'll make a PDF version and send you the slides, and then give me a couple days and I will have uploaded the recording to the link. So just as you registered to attend live, you would register later to listen to the recording. So suggestions as to starting to meal prep. You know, I like to start with dinner because it's kind of the biggest meal of the day, and usually if you've made dinner, you're probably going to have some leftovers, so you probably knock out a lunch too. So that would be good. And just try new recipes. Keep a list of foods and meals, maybe in your phone or just on the fridge that you like, so you don't go, you know, I'm stuck. I don't even know what I want to eat. That can kind of jog your memory. Let's see. Suggesting some good foods for someone who's anemic. Folks that are low in iron, if you combine iron foods with vitamin C, tends to be absorbed better. So, for instance, you know, citrus is good, high in vitamin C, orange and lemon and things like that. So if you have a protein on your salad, like a steak salad or a chicken or something like that, and you squeeze a lemon over it, the ascorbic acid, the vitamin C, will help your body absorb more iron from that meal. Like if you had a nice grass-fed steak, grass-fed sirloin, or a hamburger or something like that, having broccoli on the side. Broccoli's high in vitamin C. That can help. Tomatoes, I believe, are high in vitamin C. So a tomato there on that burger would be good. You know, we're so ingrained to try to look at orange juice for vitamin C, but that'll add a whole bunch of carbs. So try not to think in that that's your only source, only option. Healthier carbohydrates, if there are any. Fruit and sweet potato are my go-to as far as carbohydrates go, and then 2 or 3 servings of fruit a day, 1 serving of sweet potato a day, and then after those, you know, I would recommend just plain steel cut original oatmeal. That would work, and brown rice. Those would be the next 2 that I would incorporate if I'm not really doing paleo. And then after that, you know, basic pastas versus a pasta box, or doing like a macaroni box, or what am I thinking? You know what I'm like, the frozen bagged pasta meals. You want to do as much plain as possible and flavor it yourself. Have I found that freezing meals with cheese in them changes the cheese consistency and taste? Absolutely. So I would probably try to freeze as much as I can without the cheese, and then add the cheese at a later time. Good questions. If you have high cholesterol, is the paleo diet a good idea? I don't think it's a bad idea. A lot of our thoughts on cholesterol is that it comes from meat and eggs and things like that. But I believe that the research shows that only 10%, for most of us, only 10% of the cholesterol you eat actually affects the cholesterol in your blood. And they just updated the dietary guidelines put out by the USDA to say that eggs aren't the bad guy. Eggs aren't a villain. You don't have to limit them to twice a week to manage your cholesterol. What does affect our cholesterol more so is saturated fat. So saturated fat found in cheese, which you would eliminate on the paleo diet because caveman didn't have cheese. And it's just an excess of saturated fat, where it's in saturated fats in everything you eat at restaurants. So if we rely a lot on convenience meals, you're going to get a lot of saturated fat. So you know, chicken and lean pork is not going to be real high in saturated fat. The fats that you rely on are going to be olive oils and nuts and avocado, and those are mono unsaturated fats. So it could probably work for you. But again, you know, I can't say a blanket statement for everyone, and would hope that we could get you some help individually to explore your options. How do you keep bite-sized pieces of vegetables for snacking, and you're welcome, fresh in the refrigerator? What is it? I think it's a produce or vegetables like high humidity, and fruits are the opposite. So check the humidity of your fruit drawers. Keep them separated. I can't remember. I mean, you know those things you see if you have Facebook, and they have those little videos that come up. I saw one that said, you know, fruits like it here, vegetables like it here, these vegetables like it on the counter. Try to mimic what they do in the grocery store, because where they put them in the grocery store is where they're going to stay freshest the longest. And then bite-sized pieces of vegetables for snacking. If you pare down your carrots, pare down your peppers, maybe I might, you know, I was going to say put them in, have a damp paper towel around them. That might help. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question very good, but. So will the websites I provided be listed in the slides? Absolutely. They will be in here. I'll send you guys the PDF format of these. So that is the end of the questions. Kind of got off on a tangent towards the end about paleo and things like that, but I hope it was at least entertaining and you guys got some good ideas. And I'll be sending these slides to you here shortly. You're welcome. More websites. Oops, hang on. Previous. There's a question about the websites. Yeah, I think this is what you're looking for. Meal planning and cooking resources. Different websites here. They'll be in the slides, and the links should work from the PDF. So when I email you guys, it's going to be a blind copy email to everyone, and you can respond to it if you have any questions for me. All right. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful day and have some direction for meal planning. Get your families all healthier and saving some money and making good use of the resources we gave you today. Okay. Hope to see you on another webinar. Y'all take care.